Another filmmaker I discovered while browsing the Criterion channel, and I think I found some of his films on Amazon as well, is Ross McElwee. And he's a really great documentary filmmaker, and a very unique documentary filmmaker. The first film I saw of his was Sherman's March, which I believe is from the 70s or 80s. And it's couched in this pretend documentary about General Sherman's march through the South in some Civil War battle. But in actuality, it's this very personal documentary about him meeting women and falling in love, and his own Sherman's march through the South as he's figuring out his life and traveling and meeting people. And it's this big, long 3-hour movie where you just kind of watch this guy go through life and meet these interesting characters and stay with these interesting women, and they kind of fall in love and things don't work out, and he just puts it all out there. And it's just this really simple, cool movie to see, because his movies operate doubly as great narratives and great stories, and as these great time capsules. Because he's one of those guys that was just going around filming everything before that was commonplace and before many people were doing that. So you're getting these very raw looks into life at the time, and concerts and travel and venues, and just how people act. And there's another interesting element to his films back then, especially, where people back then weren't so hostile to being filmed. They're more curious, or they either don't acknowledge it at all, or they're more curious about oh, what's this for? Because I think nowadays, when we see a camera being pointed at us, we have a primal fear, because we know the internet exists. We know this footage can be spread and shared, and that it can be used for profit, and it can be used for this and that, and our mind goes everywhere. But back then, you just see some guy with a camera, and you're like, oh, he's just gonna have a home movie, So people put up less of a guard. People are less defensive, and maybe it's a little ironic that his films kind of, lasted to this time when they were spread as widely as they are. But you really get to see people as they are, and he has some repeat friends and characters you see throughout his films. He has another film called Bright Leaves, which was more modern. I think that was in the 2000s. It was about somebody selling a house. It's been a while since I've seen it, but his films are always just these loose, structured, personal narrative with narration, and kind of more about how he's doing at the time in his life. And maybe my favorite of his is this movie, Time Indefinite. And it had less of a justification for its structure than some of his other ones. It was more just this pastiche of scenes and memories, and it just has such a delicate handle on life and time, and how it's all fleeting, and how we're all in it together. And he has this woman named Charlene, who's this Southern woman who's so expressive, and she's in a lot of his films, and she's just great. She's always talking, and just this and that. She's just one of those people who talks nonstop, tells stories, and she's just so fun to watch. And he actually has a movie explicitly about her called Charlene that was also fun to watch. It was a short documentary. But in Time Indefinite, there's just this beautiful scene where she talks about her husband passing away, and it's just so hard to watch and so beautiful to share. And I think one other one I watched was Something to Do with the Wall, and it was when the Berlin Wall was coming down and people were finally leaving. He went there with his filmmaking partner, and they just interviewed people and talked to people. And a lot of historical documentaries feel very from a distance. It tells you the facts, it tells you this and that. You're used to the stuff you see on History Channel or in school. But this just felt very personal. It felt more important as a historical document than any official historical information, because it was how people felt at the time, and how they interacted with each other, and just the vibe, and how life was being there. And that was really fun to watch as well. And there's not really too much to say beyond just they're just really these great time capsules, these great personal documentaries. And they're just worth watching for yourself, because you could really get lost in where this guy was lost at the time, you know, because he's always feeling a little lost in his movies. He's feeling like, I guess we all are. We're all stumbling, figuring life out one day at a time, and you know, we don't all film everything, but you know, our memories act as our playback in our film, and we're always trying to piece it together and figure out where we went wrong and where things could have gone differently and what led to this and what led to this. And that's, his films kind of act like a very real, shareable version of how we all compartmentalize and deal with our lives and deal with the things that we go through and the people we meet and the love that we have and the love that we share. And Sherman's March is pretty funny. It definitely has some weightier scenes, but it's definitely a pretty fun watch. And I recommend that as a starting point. Don't get turned off by the runtime, because it's just really fun. It's a great 3-hour epic about this guy's life. And yeah. I hope you guys check him out. I really enjoyed watching his films. And I love movies. And I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye. Love you guys.